For all your real estate, financing, and investing questions, call the show's off-air number and speak with Mike Gray directly. 530-431-8586. That's 530-431-8586. Now, the Golden State Report with Mike, Amy, and Dave.
Welcome back, everybody. You are listening to the Golden State Report, heard every weekend on AM 1380. I'm Mike Gray with Morris Williams Realty, along with David Stone from the Stone Consulting Group.
Hello, everybody.
And Amy DeBus from American Pacific Mortgage.
Hi. How are you guys doing? Back again.
Yeah, and I want to kind of just tag off of how we ended the previous segment. You know, I shared about how we were successful in selling a home that had some very unique attributes.
And getting more than you thought you would because you staged it.
Yes, and we took very good pictures, and it looked really, really good. It was fun to walk through, and kind of really emphasizing the home's strengths. And, you know, there are a lot of negatives living up in that area because the insurance is, you know, not cheap at all.
Right.
And you're twice as large as most of your neighbors' homes. And so there are some things that the house didn't have going for it, but there are a lot of things that it did. And that's the same. That holds true to almost any home in the Sacramento Valley. A good realtor will help the seller say, we need to really accentuate what this house really has going for you.
And every house is different.
Yeah, and then make sure that the buyers see it.
Yeah.
Okay, and so how do you make sure the buyers see it? You make it very easy for them to see it by how you stage it, the color scheme, and
taking professional pictures.
Yes, yeah,
not from a cell phone.
And
or
make sure nobody's sleeping when you take those pictures in the bedroom.
Oh yeah, we should. You know, if we were a TV show, I would give you I could go on for. Here's a picture of this. Here's a picture of this.
Oh, yeah.
I can't tell you how many realtors I have seen in the bathroom mirror.
That's right.
Yeah, and taking a
Come
picture
on,
in the bathroom.
people, just do it right.
Oh, that's what that realtor looks like.
The joy of what you do and what you don't do in real estate sales.
But every house has its strengths, and a good realtor will help a seller really emphasize that. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Amy kind of dovetails into what we want to talk about during this segment, too, is some of the the real values of home ownership and, you know, the benefits of
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of benefits to home ownership that a lot of people don't think about or realize. And on the break, we were talking about a very old book. David brought up, it's called The Millionaire Next Door.
That's right.
And one of the, what are the philosophies of, your neighbor that's a millionaire? And, when I think of home ownership and I think about the benefits, one of the biggest benefits that comes to mind is stability and being in one place for a long time and being a part of a community. Not only stability in your payment, knowing that you're going to have the same payment every month, but also knowing that you don't have to move.
Yeah.
I think about when I was in my 20s, when, I was renting, I moved once every 6 months for 5 years.
That doesn't sound like fun.
It wasn't. My brother used to call me a gypsy.
Oh, that's exactly what you are. Now, thank you, brother of Amy.
Yes.
That makes so much more sense.
So, so you brought up, the Millionaire Next Door.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that makes them the millionaire next door is that they've been a part of a community for a very long time. Mm-hmm. It's one of the top 5 reasons or ways to become a millionaire.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
And again, I'm going to kind of share this. I've observed this. When I talk to somebody, I say, well, where do you live? Well, I live in an apartment down so-and-so. My apartment's down on so-and-so street. But if they own a home, or my home is...
Yeah.
So they'll use a different terminology when they own the house.
Sure, there's a sense of pride.
That my home is here, but when I rent this, I rent a house. Or I rent an apartment. But, okay, where do you live? Oh, my home is located so it's a whole different attitude.
Absolutely. When we get into the psychology of environment and how important environment is for our personal growth, environment is the jumping off point for success. Mm-hmm. And, I think about when my career took off and when I started to become successful was my first few years of owning a home. And, I think when you have that under your belt where you have that stability of owning a home and being in one place, it's like you can just focus on other things like, starting a family mm-hmm. and getting married and your career.
Right.
And then I think, that stability, it's not only just an emotional, it's a financial stability too, that really you gain from. It affects your other decisions too, correct, Dave, as you work through that?
Yeah. I mean, I think about, you mentioned the difference between renting versus owning is always a big question that people have. You mentioned that your payment's going to be flat. So if you said your payment for rent is $2,000 and you have a mortgage that's $2,500, you're like, well, the mortgage was more. It was like $500 more. It's like,
sure.
Well, but that rent at 4% increases in 18 years is going to go from $2,000 to $4,000. Your rent will double, and you're like, wait a minute. My rent's going to double, but I have no equity in this house. Well, if I put $2,500 in that mortgage and I'm paying that every month, okay, that's the same. But then the value of my property is now going up. So now I get this benefit of building equity and all these wonderful things.
Not only that, and I love what Mike always says, it's all like a built-in savings account.
Yeah, it's a forced savings account.
Right, it's a forced savings account. So that $2,500, there's a certain portion of that that's going to pay down your principal balance. So you're gaining equity in two different ways when you own a home. Yes, the market is going up over time.
Right.
However, you're also paying that mortgage down, so that also is giving you that equity.
So I guess we're all very pro be a homeowner.
Yeah, and I was talking.
Yes.
I was talking to another realtor last week.
That's a good assumption, Dave.
I was talking to another realtor. He said, interest rates are a little bit high, Amy. I mean, compared to what they have been in the previous decade. They're in the high 6s, low 7s. But he said, when you rent, your interest rate's 100%.
Yes,
because your money's gone completely.
That's right.
And so he said,
you get no tax benefit. You get no tax benefit. You're paying somebody else's mortgage. You have instability. The seller could sell at any given time.
Right.
And what I say to those people that are renting, that are paying lower than what the going rents are, be careful. Because if you look around at your home, the homes that you could rent for, it's a lot more than what you're paying, and you're at the mercy of that seller or that owner, not wanting to rent to you anymore.
Yeah, and oftentimes too, when I have somebody says, well, I'm just going to keep renting for a while. And I said, okay, let's just look. I said, what is it going to cost you over the next 5 years?
Cost of waiting.
And I said, and it's not just the money that you are losing out by paying the rent.
It's the appreciation.
Let's look at the money you're losing by not buying.
Yeah.
And now, I can't tell you for sure what's going to happen in the next 5 years. So let's back it up. If you would have bought in the house, this is 2024, in 2019, and you give me a zip code. You just give me a zip code where you want to live. Well, I would like to have lived in Folsom, 95630. Okay, right. 2019. If you would have bought a house in 2019, all right, this is what you would have paid for. Now, you have paid rent for the last 5 years. But if you would have bought that house in 5 years, this is what your financial situation probably would look like today.
Right.
Now, is that going to happen in the next 5 years? Well, there's a trend here. The numbers may not be exact, but that same trend is going to continue. And you will always be more solid off financially by owning something that appreciates than by renting and waiting 5 years down the road to see if interest rates come down. Absolutely.
And, through, the history of, the housing sector, on average, on a 30-year period, you're going to gain 6%. 6%, right?
6% per year?
Right. On average, 6% per year, which is a phenomenal investment, I think.
Yeah. I agree. That's a good one.
Well, if you have any questions about home ownership, any questions about mortgages, and Amy's the person we refer you to because she's our go-to gal, give us a call, 530-431-8586, or you can text us at 530-431-8586.
Watch them bloom for me and